Okay, I found this Paula Deen cookbook in the Goodwill bins, and this copy is signed. So I thought, why not cook my way through this cookbook and see just what Paula Deen has to offer? My name is Chrissy, and welcome back to the dinner table. Today we're going to flip through Paula Deen's Lady and Son Savannah Country Cookbook. Now, I'm going to show you what's inside, and I'm also going to tell you why I chose this book for the next few weeks of our Fancy Dinner Friday menus. So this cookbook was published back in 1997, but it was originally published under a different name. It was originally published under, hold on, I have it, Favorite Recipes of the Lady and Her Friends. This copy that I have was printed in 1998, and it is the 31st printed edition, which I thought was kind of interesting. And like most of my cookbooks, 98% of my cookbooks, I found this copy and one other copy in the Goodwill bins. But only one of them was signed, so that one is a little extra special. I picked this book because the recipes inside look very simple, and these are all Southern cuisines, and my family likes Southern food, and so do I, so it's a good match. So this book is a paperback book with a plastic ring binding, and the recipes, also there are no pictures in this book whatsoever. The recipes are very straightforward. You get your ingredients listed, and then you have a short, to the point paragraph giving the instructions, the cooking instructions. Some of the recipes do include little stories or notes. Like one of the recipes she mentions was a particular favorite of Jimmy Carter, so I thought that was a little fun. I picked this cookbook because the recipes looked simple. I like Southern food, and lucky for me, most of the recipes my family likes are also Southern cuisine. Through the book, Paula, she mentions like little stories about her grandmother and her aunt, and it kind of makes these recipes, or give these recipes, that like passed down feel. So that's kind of cozy and fun. That's neat. The book is broken up into sections, most like every other cookbook. You have your appetizers, soups, salad, main courses, vegetables, side dishes, breads, desserts, and then she even has a section that is cooking tips from the lady. The recipes are laid out very much like a recipe card. You have your title, your serving size, you have your ingredients listed out in two very clean columns, and then you have your paragraph with your short instructions, making it very simple to follow. I found that a lot of the recipes usually serve around 8. There are other recipes in here that serve like 16 to 20. That'll be handy for some family get-togethers and whatnot, Christmas banquets or church potlucks. But servings of 8, that'll mean that I'll have some leftovers, and that's not such a bad thing in my household anyway. I didn't see any recipes that looked foreign or unheard of. Most of the unique recipes were recipes like pickled okra sandwich, peanut butter bread, but not bread with peanut butter on it, but like a bread made of peanut butter, and then like a strawberry cheese ring, which was more like a Jell-O mold situation. Not necessarily bad, but not necessarily anything that I would go to a cookbook to specifically look for. I like that Paula includes like little shortcuts, tips, and tricks in here. Like she'll mention that, a certain part of the recipe can be made ahead of time, or prepped or frozen ahead of time and then pulled out, so that like you could chop things up the night before and just have like a dump and go situation whenever you actually are going to cook the dish. So right now my teenage boys are in this phase where, they don't like food mixed together, kind of reminds me of when I was a kid, and like I didn't want my peas touching my carrots and my carrots not touching my meat, and everything had to be very segregated. That's kind of where they are. They like the food in the simplest form. So meat is just meat, vegetables are just vegetables, and even with the vegetables, like putting cheese on it is taboo. So casseroles are completely out. But for Fancy Dinner Fridays, I have a rule where they have to at least sample everything that I've made, and my hope is that by doing that, they will discover that they actually like some of the food that they wouldn't normally be willing to try because it doesn't look appealing. Typically what happens during our Fancy Dinner Friday, I'll ask the boys to try the food, and then they'll give me their feedback. And usually it's very, oh, it's good, and I like it, and it has good flavor, and this and that. But their body language is saying something totally different. I don't see them like devouring it. I'm looking for evidence, as in like that plate gets cleared, and they're very much just being polite a lot of the time. So I think I just need to be straightforward with them and ask them, will you eat this again if I make it? And really just kind of take their plate as a proof of how good it actually was. Did they clean it, or is it still on the plate at the end of dinner? So I picked out 4 different menus for the next month of Fancy Dinner Fridays. And our first week is going to be recipes that Paula actually served at her restaurant in Savannah, Georgia. Unfortunately, that restaurant closed last summer, and I'm kind of mad. I'm kind of bitter about it because I was there in South Carolina for training, and I had like a weekend coming up that I was going to be able to go to Savannah and actually eat at her restaurant. But the weekend before I was going to have that free weekend, I caught wind of a like small announcement that the restaurant had closed that week. So I never got to go to the restaurant and try her food directly. So discovering that she had recipes in this cookbook that she served at the restaurant was a little bit of a treat. So the first menu I picked for our Fancy Dinner Fridays are things that she had on the menu for the restaurant. So we are going to do cheeseburger meatloaf, her macaroni and cheese, broccoli salad, some hoe cakes, and her cream cheese brownies. And then throughout the rest of the month, I'll have recipes that include like banana pudding, fried chicken, pork chops, the real Southern soul food type menu items. And we'll just see how it goes. Hopefully it's stuff that my family will like. Throughout the book, there's only a few recipes in here that I probably wouldn't make, and a lot of them have seafood in it, mainly because I don't personally like seafood. My oldest son and my husband do, but also we live in Oklahoma, and getting fresh seafood is a little difficult. And even then, it's not as fresh as if it would be if we were on the coast. Overall, I would say this cookbook is beginner friendly. If you can read the instructions off of a box of cake mix or a seasoning packet, you'll be able to cook from this cookbook. The recipes are simple, the ingredients are easy to find, the instructions are direct, which I feel would be useful in any kitchen. If you're on a journey like me, trying to find recipes that will bring your family to the dinner table, subscribe, and we can figure it out together. Until next time, I'll see you at the dinner table.